Greetings fellow cultivators. Welcome to Oscar Nova. Remember to like and subscribe to support the journey. Today, we're diving into the story of what's the point of cultivating immortality if you don't have money. Zulingzi was a Jindan cultivator over 6 meters tall, with a body composed of golden jade-colored bones, and always wore an arrogant expression. As Xiong looked up at him, an application for a low-interest loan appeared in his eye socket's vision. Zulingzi said indifferently, "I've already prepared the items. Actually, you didn't need to come all the way here. Remote processing is the same." Tulishan chuckled and said, "I brought him here to get acquainted. I'll have to trouble you to take care of him in the future." Zulingzi nodded slightly, looked at Xiong and said, "It seems you plan to cultivate this student." Tulishan said from the side, "Xiong, teacher Zulingzi has always been in charge of the loan business for our civil engineering department. When the project payment for many projects hasn't been settled, your salaries can be considered to be paid by him." During the conversation between Tulishan and Zulingzi, Xiong had already completed the low-interest loan application. A total loan of 10 spirit coins, with a monthly interest of 0.01 after it arrives, and the principal will be repaid after 10 years. Looking at the 10 spirit coins that had already arrived, and his savings soaring to 22.6 spirit coins, Xiong sighed in his heart, "It's simply charity." After leaving the teaching floor of the finance department, Tulishan told Xiong to rest well for the next half-month, conserve his energy, and prepare for next month's engineering project. Feeling the urging of the ritual within his body, Xiong planned to go to 666, to work overtime, and relax. At the same time, feeling the astonishing potential of 22.6 spirit coins, Xiong had already begun to plan how to spend these spirit coins. So, in the remaining half of November, Xiong spent spirit coins more and more fiercely, and his cultivation level also rose accordingly. The dormitory door was slammed open. Lemulin said somewhat excitedly, "Xiong, I've completed foundation establishment." Xiong, who was taking medicine, raised his head and glanced at her, also becoming excited. "Foundation establishment?" Xiong wasn't surprised that Lemulin could pass the foundation establishment exam. After all, under the same circumstances of being at the peak of key refining, from Xiong's perspective, as a foundation establishment old ancestor, the difference between these key refining students at the university isn't actually that big. Even in terms of spiritual roots, almost all the students who can get into the top 10 universities use heavenly spiritual roots, so there isn't much difference between them. And with Xiong's help during this recent period, Lemulin's ability to consume pills greatly increased. Especially after enjoying a large number of semi-finished drugs from the pharmaceutical factory through Xiong's blood, her physique had further breakthroughs while at the peak of key refining. In addition to the support from her brother Lejingchen, Lemulin herself also invested a lot of money. Of course, in Xiong's opinion, there was also a crucial point, which was that Wanfa University, as one of the top 10 universities, had a far greater number of qualification spots for the foundation establishment exam than ordinary universities. After passing the foundation establishment exam, Lemulin seized the time to break through to the foundation establishment realm. After all, she had been hovering at the peak of key refining for a long time, just waiting for this qualification certificate to arrive before she could break through. Xiong excitedly pulled her down to sit, holding Lemulin's hands in both of his, and said with some anticipation, "Now that you've established your foundation, we can continue doing what we agreed to do before." Lemulin looked at Xiong's excited appearance and remembered what he had said before, asking, "You want to do it?" Xiong smiled and said, "Of course, we agreed." He held Lemulin's hands and injected streams of mana into her body, precisely to use his high-quality mana to improve the quality of her mana. Lemulin didn't even have time to speak before Xiong pulled her in and injected mana, thinking to herself, but we haven't discussed the price yet." After a while, Xiong stopped and said, "All right, let's stop here for today. You should digest it first." Lemulin was slightly stunned in her heart, just this much. After hearing Zhuangji talk about dual cultivation, she had also gone to the school's main library to look it up. She remembered that there was clearly a lot more content later on. Xiong said, "You've only just established your foundation, don't be anxious, let's take it slow." Lemulin thought to herself, "That's good too. I don't have any money to pay him right now, although Xiong might be willing to do it for free, but I can't take advantage of him anymore." Recalling her expenses before and after the foundation establishment exam, La Mulin thought to herself, although I don't have much money right now. However, the La family on the second floor has agreed to lend me a sum of money after they found out that I passed the foundation establishment qualification exam. Plus the upcoming pharmacology internship, I'll come back to Zhangyu to continue. After I've saved enough money. Zhangyu looked at the Dao seed on La Mulin's chest and thought, to copy this deep cold law vein, I need to increase the quality of my mana to 150%. It seems that it can't be done in a short time. On the construction site on the 666th floor, Zhang Yu's figure flickered, and his Genki shot out like a dragon, already laying down large swaths of rebar mesh. Yu Xingyan sat to the side, speaking into the camera. Hello everyone, I'm Yu Xingyan, a freshman in the civil engineering department this year. I'm filming this video to record the real construction site life. I just worked hard all night again, and it's finally time to eat. Today we're reading number 90 to cement. Li Zhao looked at Yu Xingyan, who was slurping down cement, and asked, going for a massage. Yu Xingyan waved his hand and said, can't you see I'm busy? Li Zhao could only wait to the side. Ever since he went for a massage with Yu Xingyan last time, he realized that this stuff was really useful. The muscles weren't sore the next day after the massage, the bones didn't make strange noises, and working and cultivating seemed more energetic. Not far away, Yingxin passed by, and snorted coldly in her heart, as she looked at Li Zhao. Ever since Zhang Yu became the third in the class, she noticed that Li Zhao had changed, from revolving around them to revolving around Zhang Yu. Working hard. I'll see how many years you can work hard for. On the other side, Yu Xingyan jumped up, after finishing the video and said, let's go for a massage. He excitedly led Li Zhao towards the massage room, with projections of Li Zulian constantly popping up in his eye sockets, preparing for the massage selection later. Although he was very interested in senior sister, Yu Xingyan could feel that Li Zulian wasn't interested in him. Yu Xingyan used to be a little unwilling, but now he has figured it out. Anyway, in his eye sockets, senior sister can't help but be controlled by him. In the dormitory. The newest novels are first released on 69shu.com. Yu Xingyan, La Mulin, and Zhang Pianpian each fed the medicine they bought to Zhang Yu. Then they shared the blood dripping from Zhang Yu's fingertips together. Feeling the 3 portions of medicinal power contained in the blood, Zhang Pianpian was surprised in her heart. This kind of drug metabolism ability. He's only in the early stages of foundation establishment, right? Recalling his previous performance working at the pharmaceutical factory, Zhang Pianpian thought, the surprises my younger brother brings me are really getting more and more numerous. Maybe in a few years, he can help me with a big favor. Zhang Yu's heart stirred, and he looked at Zhang Pianpian, to the side, only feeling that the Taiching talisman of the other party's Dao seed seemed to flicker again just now. On the construction site. As Zhang Yu slapped out one palm after another, the templates formed by the Genki were enveloping the concrete, accelerating the solidification of the concrete. At the same time, the third eye behind his brow was scrutinizing Zhang Yu's every move, every stance, and then perfectly copying and reproducing them. This made every movement of Zhang Yu's appear incomparably standard, as if measured with a ruler. Even in the process of copying, he could constantly accelerate, and his movements became faster and faster. Zhang Yu thought, this 3-eye divine power is useful for cultivation, copying my own movements, it's also easy to use. He felt that in this way, his cultivation was more worry-free, and he could both accelerate and maintain the effect of training, without the movements going out of shape. In this way, I can both meet the number of requirements of the exercises, and each exercise can also have the effect of body refining. At this moment, Zhang Yu saw a message coming from the Songyang group, in his eye sockets. Liu Ben from Jinzhou College student Liu Ben was severely injured in a bombing, and temporarily passed away, due to insufficient medical expenses. Before he died, he hoped that we would send a message for him. Save me. I'm only 3.2 spirit coins away from being resurrected, please give me some money to resurrect me. If I'll live, I will definitely work to repay the money. Lan Ling from Shan University scammer. Zhao Tianxing from Fengdu University, not a scammer, the body is temporarily dead, but the consciousness is still alive. If there is enough money, he can indeed be saved. Looking at the constantly refreshing chat records in the group, Zhang Yu thought, bombing. He thought of the bombing in Wanfa University City before, and thought of the university war that Zhang Pianpian and Talishan had mentioned. Zhang Yu thought to himself, apart from the top 10, other universities may be involved in the university war, and their safety is far inferior to the top 10. Inside the dormitory, Zhang Yu looked at Bai Zhenjin in the projection and said, I'm going to the field construction site in a few days. I'll probably be back in 2 or 3 months. I don't know if the internet there is good. I might not be able to talk to you every day then. Bai Zhenjin smiled and said, I asked my mom, it's a good thing that the civil engineering department can go to the construction site. I'll wait for you to come back. But you might be going to a war zone now, remember not to leave the construction site. Also, Bai Zhenjin leaned in front of Zhang Yu and said, put out your hand. Zhang Yu stretched out his hand, only to see the other party sending a string of characters into Zhang Yu's hand. Zhang Yu said in surprise, what is this? Bai Zhenjin said, flying sword code. Sun, Mom can't give you money now, but I've prepared a flying sword for you. It should arrive in a couple of days. You enter this flying sword code, and you'll be able to control the sword spirit. Zhang Yu was slightly stunned when he heard this, and quickly said, Ajen, you should keep the flying sword for yourself. What do I, a civil engineer, need a flying sword for? Bai Zhenjin said, Mom has plenty of flying swords, you take this one. Zhang Yu asked curiously again when he heard this, didn't the divine sovereign forbid you from randomly giving things away? This flying sword. Bai Zhenjin smiled slightly, this flying sword is a bit special, you'll know when you receive it. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye, and December arrived without anyone noticing. During this half-month, Zhang Yu had indeed spent a considerable amount of spirit coins. At this moment, he was sitting cross-legged in his dormitory, holding a white jade-colored bead in his hand, feeling a warm and peaceful flow of mana within it. This was a profound creation relic that Zhang Yu had rented, capable of storing and retrieving mana. According to the manufacturer, only 1 or 2 relics could be produced from each cremation of a master from Vajra University, making each one unique and obtained through personal cremation by the master. However, after Zhang Yu inquired with Zhang Pianpian, he was informed that these relics were mass-produced artificial goods, with a materials scientist from Vajra University, able to produce hundreds of them a year. Although not as amazing as advertised, it was sufficient for Zhang Yu's needs. After all, a single profound creation relic could hold 10,000 units of mana. The one in Zhang Yu's hand, for example, was already filled with 10,000 units of mana with a quality as high as 200% when he rented it. Although some of the mana would be lost over time, it was still enough for Zhang Yu to absorb daily and improve his own mana quality for a month. He spent 4.5 spirit coins in one go to rent 3 such profound creation relics just so that he could still absorb high quality mana and improve his mana quality every day after going to the wilderness construction site. Of course, after he returned from the construction site, these profound creation relics with depleted mana had to be returned on time, otherwise the rent would increase. Fearing that he would forget to return them on time, Zhang Yu said to Fuji in his heart, Fuji, remember to remind me to return these profound creation relics when I get back. As a precaution, Zhang Yu also set up several reminder alarms in his eye socket. This was a small money-saving trick he learned from Xiong, such as returning rented items right on time, unsubscribing from services on the last day of the trial period, canceling continuous monthly subscriptions after getting the preferential price, and setting multiple alarms at different times to avoid oversights and wasting spirit coins. After checking that the mana inside the 3 profound creation relics was full, and the quality was not a problem, Zhang Yu picked up another jade box that had just arrived. Upon opening the jade box, a jade green goo worm was curled up inside a crystal. This was the jade spirit goo that Zhang Yu had rented for 3 months, at a cost of 2.55 spirit coins. Although it looked like a worm, it was actually a magical artifact. According to Yanjing, this was a bionic magical artifact, imitating the goo worms of Heavenly Demon University. The initial purpose of its research was to accompany spiritual roots and promote their evolution, such as evolving from Earth spiritual roots to Heaven spiritual roots, or even from Heaven spiritual roots to Divine spiritual roots. However, so far, this research has not been successful, and it is said that it will take another 100 years and tens of thousands of spirit coins to make a breakthrough. But although this jade spirit goo cannot currently promote the evolution of spiritual roots, it can be used to improve the fusion degree of spiritual roots. Zhang Yu swallowed it into his stomach, and the crystal wrapping the goo melted instantly. The jade spirit goo quickly activated and naturally burrowed into Zhang Yu's dantian, crawling onto his Qi spiritual root. As the Qi spiritual root shared wisps of spiritual energy with the jade spirit goo, the goo worm fed back wisps of vitality, forming a wonderful relationship with the Qi spiritual root. Since Zhang Yu had increased the fusion degree of his Qi spiritual root to 90%, he felt that the spiritual root was gradually falling into silence, and ordinary methods were only minimally effective. Zhang Yu understood that this was because the last parts of the spiritual route to fuse and grow were in the various details of the body, so the efficiency naturally became slower and slower. But at this moment, with the effect of the jade spirit goo, he soon felt an itch in many places on his body, as if flesh and blood were growing there. Zhang Yu knew that this was a sign that the Qi spiritual route was growing again, fusing into those subtle places. In this way, in about 2 or 3 months, the fusion degree of my spiritual root will reach 100%, and the Qi spiritual root will be completely integrated with me, never to be separated again. The efficiency of mana dispatch and spiritual energy collection can also be increased by about 10%. Even if there are no Taoist services available in the wild, the fusion degree of my spiritual root should still be able to increase. Zhang Yu then calculated in his mind, in this way, after going to the construction site this time, neither my mana quality, nor the fusion degree of my spiritual route, will fall behind. In terms of physical strength, the 9 health suppressing mountain belt is already enough. In terms of Dao heart, Zhang Yu looked at the spirit realm interface mask next to him. As long as the construction site has a spirit realm network, he will be able to use spirit realm services to assist in the tempering of his Dao heart at that time. In addition to this, there were also several boxes of commonly used medicines and 3 boxes of spirit stones prepared to assist with breathing exercises, consuming nearly 1.6 spirit coins. Of course, in addition to these things prepared for the construction site, in the past half-month, Zhang Yu also spent a lot of spirit coins on various Taoist services and spirit realm services, allowing his strength to usher in another surge. Now his Dao heart has reached level 12, mana is 425.5, mana quality is 136%, and physical strength is level 12.63. The purchase and practice of new cultivation methods have also allowed Zhang Yu to raise the cultivation methods of the Earthwood Saint body to 7, and he will have a new effect with just 1 more. Feeling his strength steadily increasing, Zhang Yu couldn't help but sigh. Spirit coins are really useful. With my peerless talent, if I keep training like this, I can probably raise all my stats to the peak of the foundation establishment stage in, at most, a year or 2. But looking at the 10.3 spirit coins left in his account, Zhang Yu sighed inwardly, but spirit coins really don't last long. And on the day before departure, the flying sword that Bai Zhenzhen had sent finally arrived. Early December. After requesting leave, applying for online courses, preparing his luggage, and saying goodbye to Yu Xing'an, Le Mulin, and Zhang Pianpian, one by one, Zhang Yu, along with many students and teachers from the civil engineering department, boarded the flying boat and embarked on the 3-month journey to the field construction site. As soon as they boarded the flying boat, the students were divided into 2 groups and sent to different conference rooms on the boat for meetings. Lishan arrived at the conference room where Zhang Yu was, looking at the group of poor students below. He thought that Director Gao should already be in a meeting with Gongshu, Jin, and the others. Alas, when will I be in charge of a class of rich people? When will I stop hanging out with this bunch of poor wretches all day long? Suppressing the distracting thoughts in his mind, Lishan looked at the crowd below, smiled, and said, "Everyone, you are all elites carefully selected by Director Gao from all grades. I look forward to your performance in the next 3 months. I'll create a group first. In the next 3 months, any news will be announced in the group. The newest novels are all first published on Liu Shibiye. Also, please receive the documents sent to you. Inside are your respective tasks assigned to you in the project, as well as the training plan for the next 3 months." Looking at the training plan in the document, Zhang Yu raised his eyebrows slightly. He heard Lishan continue to say from above, "Everyone, all departments in the university know that civil engineering is tough and tiring, but no one ever says that civil engineering is poor. As long as you are willing to work hard and endure hardship, the department will definitely give you opportunities to earn money. The next moment, he said with a solemn expression, "I'll be honest about this project, there are death quotas given from above." Xiong looked at each student present, and in his eyes, the debts and savings behind each of them seemed to appear. Looking at these numbers, Xiong seemed to see the extraordinary immortal potential in everyone. A senior student said, "Teacher 2, you don't have to say scary things. Aside from the suicide rate, the demonization rate, the homicide rate, and the bankruptcy rate, our civil engineering department can still rank first in the sudden death rate. Working in our line of work, who's afraid of death?" Xiong Yu thought, is this really going to a construction site? Xiong Yu turned to look at the student who spoke, and found that he had white hair, and a face full of wrinkles, looking like an old man over 100 years old. However, apart from this face, most of the rest of his body was composed of a Dharma body, so it was impossible to tell the difference between old age and youth. Xiong smiled slightly and continued, "Student Che Yurfi said it well. What's the point of doing civil engineering if you're afraid of death? What's the point of cultivating immortality? As long as you have money, you can be resurrected after death, you can restore your youth when you're old, and you can extend your life when your lifespan is exhausted. Spirit coins are everything. And you all understand your own conditions. If you want to earn spirit coins, you have to work hard. Now the department is giving you this opportunity. In order to adapt to the development of the times, in order to continue to compete in the future market, the department has decided to use the most effective, the strictest, the most immortal, and the most potential squeezing method in the next 3 months, to improve everyone's professional skills and immortal cultivation, and increase everyone's future income." As he spoke, the first meal after boarding the ship had already been placed in front of everyone. Looking at the white pills, Xiong Yu could vaguely see something squirming inside them. Xiong said, "The department will cover your 6 meals a day for the next 3 months. For the first meal today, we're reading the 3 worm tendon changing pills. After taking them, they will accelerate the consumption of your mana and ki, but as long as you can withstand it, it will be like carrying a weight, constantly stimulating your potential, and making your physique stronger." Before Xiong finished speaking, some students had already eaten them. Looking at the students around him who were starting to eat, Xiong Yu also ate a 3 worm tendon changing pill. The next moment, he felt a burst of colic in his abdomen, as if something was constantly gnawing at his internal organs. And he felt that his physical strength and mana had begun to slightly drain away. To resist this drain, he had to breathe harder and work harder to tap into his potential. Moreover, Xiong Yu felt the abnormality in his internal organs and thought, this will cause illness over time, right? Sure enough, he heard Xiong say, long-term use of 3 worm tendon changing pills will affect the endocrine, cardiovascular system, and spiritual root system, causing arrhythmia and spiritual root overload. Remember to stop taking the medicine in time, if problems occur. Xiong Yu tried his best to control his activated body, constantly healing the slight damage to his internal organs, and felt that he could bear the damage of the 3 worm tendon changing pills. As Xiong Yu continued listening, he discovered that, apart from the 3 worm tendon changing pill, the 6 daily doses of medicine were almost all drugs that enhance strength, at the cost of damaging health and consuming lifespan. The program also offered a selection of various cultivation methods, all of which were earth and wood element techniques with intense side effects, capable of elevating the cultivator's strength in a short period. Of course, what made Xiong Yu feel fortunate was that several of these cultivation methods belonged to the earthwood sacred body. Xiong Yu thought, in that case, I can learn the remaining 3 cultivation methods of my earthwood sacred body for free. Listening to Xiong's introduction, Fuji exclaimed, "This is completely treating you all as expendable resources, stimulating your potential recklessly in a short amount of time, and then having you help them with projects to make money, without any long-term consideration for your future, right? But for poor people, this is indeed an opportunity. At least after earning money, there is still a chance to make up for the deficiencies in the body. If you can't even earn money, what's the use of living a little longer?" Fuji sighed again, there are still too many college students. With so many geniuses being recruited every year, Wanfa University can afford to play this kind of game. After Xiong spoke at length about the training content, he introduced several physicians standing aside. These are the accompanying doctors. They will monitor your physical condition at all times and provide you with treatment. Of course, the costs will be borne by yourselves. Hearing Xiong's words, everyone present had a solemn expression, as if they had seen something terrifying. Listening to Talishan's series of speeches, Xiong Yu also realized that the Earth and Wood Department's training for this group of students, in short, was to use the strongest medicine, the harshest environment, and the most high-pressure work to make them constantly work overtime, step by step squeezing out all their potential. And the accompanying doctors were like ferocious beasts closely following behind them, ready to swallow those whose bodies could not bear the burden, turning them into medical bills, and completely eliminating them from this project. Looking at the many students in the conference room, Talishan sighed slightly in his heart, although as individuals, they do not have the ability to regenerate. But the entire college student population is a renewable resource. Some of them may not live to graduate from college, but the entire Earth and Wood Department will inevitably become stronger, year by year. Especially in the next few years, with the expansion of the scale of the war, the Earth and Wood market will only become larger and larger, and the resources invested in them will be doubled in no time. After Talishan finished his work in the conference room, he ran to another conference room to take a look. He saw a young man wearing a Taoist robe standing on the stage, with the four characters "Build the World" written on the robe. The whole person looked like he had traveled from the ancient world. However, Talishan knew that it was no problem to say that Director Gao was an ancient person. After all, the other party was more than 800 years old, and was a true ancient person, from 800 years ago. Because of this, Director Gao had some aesthetics from ancient times. Although the other party had more than 300 dharma bones all over his body, they were all custom made from his own flesh and blood, making Director Gao look like he didn't have a single dharma bone. Then Talishan looked at the 6 students under the stage. Unlike the situation of the students on Xiong Yu's side, Talishan knew that each of the 6 students here, including Gong Shujin, had paid a registration fee of 10 spirit coins, and the specific training costs were even higher than each other. They will receive Director Gao's hands-on training, eat the most expensive medicines, practice the most expensive cultivation methods, and learn project management, control, and large-scale immortal construction techniques. Talishan knew that if the future goal of Xiong Yu's side, after training, was to become elite construction personnel in the project, then the future goal of the 6 students here was to become project managers and masters of high-end immortal construction technology. Standing at the bow of the flying boat. Along the way, Xiong Yu could see that students of all grades had already seized the time to start practicing. Xiong Yu looked at the rapidly passing ground under his feet, and then looked down at the index finger of his right hand, and a slight smile suddenly appeared on the corner of his mouth. He saw that there was a black ring on his index finger, at some point. But if you look closely, you can find that the ring is composed of strands of silk. This is exactly the azure silk flying sword that Bai Zhenjian gave to Xiong Yu, a flying sword refined from 7 strands of Bai Zhenjian's hair. Each strand of hair contains a sword intent, and when the sword is drawn, it can temporarily erase one of the opponent's emotions. This azure silk flying sword does not require Xiong Yu to use mana. It automatically collects spiritual energy to charge every day, and each of the 7 azure silks can unleash a sword every day. In addition to such self-defense purposes, the greatest function of this azure silk flying sword is to connect to the spirit world network. It is said that Tianjin University has arranged a total of 84,000 patrolling, sky-flying swords in the high altitude of the second layer of Kongshu, building a spirit world network that can cover the entire second layer of Kongshu. As long as you use this azure silk flying sword, you can connect to the spirit world network through the patrolling sky-flying swords at any time. Xiong Yu thought, is Agen worried that I will encounter danger on the construction site in the wild? So she gave me this azure silk flying sword that can both protect me and connect to the internet. After taking a look at the azure silk flying sword wrapped around his index finger, Xiong Yu also seized the time to practice. Soon after, as the flying boat gradually stopped, a ruin filled with billowing smoke also appeared in front of everyone. Xiong Yu recalled the contents of the project files, thinking to himself, this is the factory that Shan University was attacked, right? Our next task is to clear this ruin within 3 months and then rebuild a mana factory. But what did this factory originally produce? I wonder if there's anything good left. Xiong Yu looked at the ruins below, feeling like he was looking at a treasure trove. Just then, a senior student stepped out. With each step, his figure grew taller and larger as mana filled him, reaching a height of 10 meters in the blink of an eye. This guy is he that student from Gong Shujin's meeting. Xiong Yu thought to himself, the technique he's using is the mountain giant transformation art. Zhang Yu knew about this technique because it was also one of the techniques belonging to the earth with sacred body. Unlike the key refining stage techniques that temporarily stretch bones, this mountain giant transformation art uses the body's transcendence to temporarily expand the body to a level far beyond the limits of the flesh. The 10-meter-tall senior student laughed and said, "Some of you may know me, some may not. I am Mo Xiong from the 7th grade foundation establishment class. The location below isn't convenient for the airship to land, so let me give everyone a ride." Under Zhang Yu's curious gaze, as Mo Xiong opened his arms, an invisible wave spread out from his body, sweeping in all directions. The newest and most complete novels are available at 69chu.com. In the next moment, everyone's luggage floated into the sky one after another. Zhang Yu also felt a lightness in his body, and he actually flew up. Just as he was surprised and wondering what was happening, Che Fei shouted from the side, controlling the earthly fiend gravity, "Is this the heavenly Kunlun mountain moving divine power?" Mo Xiong smiled slightly and said, "It is indeed the heavenly Kunlun mountain moving divine power. Everyone, don't move around, I'll send you down first." In the next moment, Zhang Yu felt as if invisible forces were dragging him in the air, and his whole body flew out. Not only him, but all the students present, as well as their luggage, rose into the air under Mo Xiong's heavenly Kunlun mountain moving divine power, and landed on the ground with bursts of air-piercing sounds. Looking at the ruins on the ground, Mo Xiong gently lifted his hand, controlling everyone to continue floating in midair, and with another palm, he grabbed a large piece of the ruins from afar, blasting it hundreds of meters away. Watching this scene, Zhang Yu secretly clicked his tongue. Is this really Foundation establishment? But he repeatedly confirmed the other party's information. Mo Xiong was indeed still in the Foundation establishment realm. On the other side, Che Fei sighed in his heart. Military grade, techniques to perverted. How much of my workload can Mo Xiong alone handle? Gongshu Jin looked at this scene, his eyes full of anticipation and excitement. Heavenly Kunlun mountain moving divine power, I must master this technique. In the future, just moving mountains and demolishing buildings and changing spiritual veins, I don't know how much I can earn. As everyone landed on the cleared open space, they immediately began to clean up the site according to the previously assigned tasks, first building a simple camp. The content of the mountain giant transformation art appeared in Zhang Yu's mind. This was the technique he had chosen from the technique resources provided by the project. The main reason was naturally because this technique also belonged to the earth with sacred body. Another reason, of course, was that this technique could also be cultivated while working. First, level up the mountain giant transformation art to level 20, and unlock the second layer effect of the earthwood technique. Zhang Yu circulated his mana around his body, and his whole body swelled slightly, but after he had completely circulated the entire technique once, his slightly swollen body shrank back. His first operation of the mountain giant transformation art ended in failure. But he had already learned the mountain giant transformation art. Mountain giant transformation art level 1. With the second operation, Zhang Yu felt that his flesh and blood, under the infusion of mana, seemed to have changed its nature, turning into a highly elastic substance. As long as he exerted his strength violently, he could inflate his body several times like blowing up a balloon. But Zhang Yu naturally didn't do that. He simply maintained the operation of the mountain giant transformation art while doing the chores assigned to him. On the other side, Gongshu Jin glanced at Zhang Yu, who was digging earthwork, and felt a little strange in his heart. Why, is this friend of mine mixing with a group of short-lived ghosts? I heard that he has been obsessed with working on construction sites, and now he doesn't even attend Director Gao's courses. Why would someone who can afford the time remnant demon I be like this? In his opinion, no matter how much you do these chores, you can only train yourself to be good at chores, which wears down the body, and the improvement of strength is mediocre. It's better for him to spend more money on Dao's services. Just then, Director Gao's voice came from the side. Those chores have nothing to do with you. Everyone, look over here. The first step in construction is to find the formation base point. And the key to the formation base point lies in finding the right spiritual vein, completing the traction of the spiritual machine, and laying down the first spiritual machine circuit pipe. Hearing Director Gao's words, Gongshu Jin immediately looked over, listening attentively. Although he felt curious about Zhang Yu's situation, Gongshu Jin was ultimately most concerned about his own affairs. being selected by Director Gao as a key training target. This time also greatly increased Gong Shujin's confidence. His next goal was to defeat Jiyuan Shu and become the first in the Foundation establishment class when he returned in 3 months. Listening to Audio Nova. A large area of ruins was cleared, and the ground was leveled again. Then, simple houses were built with the cooperation of many Foundation establishment cultivators. Zhang Yu was assigned to a 6-person room. As soon as he moved in with his luggage, he saw the white-haired, old-looking student named Che Yurfei, and a demon descendant student, with a face full of bristle hair. Seeing Zhang Yu's appearance, Che Yurfei smiled and said, "Freshman. I'm Che Yurfei, a 6-year student." He pointed to the demon descendant student next to him and said, "This is Xiong, a 4th-year student." As he spoke, Che Yurfei stuffed a handful of Dao Heart buffer capsules in front of Zhang. "You want some?" Zhang Yu shook his head and smiled. "This is too easy to become dependent on. I don't really take this stuff." Although he had an incredibly strong drug tolerance, Zhang Yu never really took Dao Heart buffer type drugs. Che Yurfei was slightly stunned, giving Zhang Yu a strange look, as if he didn't expect that a college student, especially a civil engineering student, wouldn't take this stuff. Xiong grabbed the buffer capsules from Che Yurfei's hand and swallowed them, instructing in a knowing tone, "Kid, when I was a freshman, I thought like you, that I had suffered so much in high school, that I wouldn't be afraid of anything in the future." He sneered, feeling a burst of stimulation from the buffer capsules in his brain, and said comfortably, "But when the project officially starts, you will understand that the suffering and fatigue in high school are nothing compared to college. You really can't handle it without taking some of this stuff." Zhang Yu did not refute or argue. After all, Xiong was kindly reminding him, but Zhang Yu really didn't like taking Dao Heart buffer drugs. Seeing Zhang Yu's attitude, Che Yurfei and Xiong didn't say much. In their opinion, it wouldn't be long before the other party was tortured to the point of ecstasy, and by then, they might be taking more Dao Heart buffer drugs than they were. Next, the other students in the 6-person room arrived one by one. Zhang Yu observed that Che Yurfei, the 6-year student, was already the oldest. 4 of them were 2nd-level people, only Zhang Yu was a 1st-level person, and another student was from the 3rd level. After everyone introduced themselves, there was no further communication. Each person was either studying, breathing exercises, or practicing cultivation techniques outside. After Zhang Yu wandered around outside, he asked with some confusion, "Is there no toilet here?" Che Yurfei smiled at him, thinking that he was indeed a delicate freshman. "You haven't modified yourself? Nor installed a Dharma skeleton? But it doesn't matter." He pointed outside and said, "Isn't the construction site full of toilets? Find a place outside where there is no one, and you can go wherever you want." After a period of rest, everyone welcomed the first dinner at the construction site. Zhang Yu looked at the rows of drug lists that appeared in his eye socket, each of which detailed the effects and side effects, and the parts affected by the side effects appeared on the human model next to it. There was the burning heart pill, which increased the speed of qi and blood gathering, and enhanced the effect of muscle exercise, but the side effect was increased heart load, which could easily lead to cardiovascular diseases with long-term use. A large area of red was also marked on the heart position, on the human model next to it. There was the Yin Sha bone corrosion pill, which increased the coldness of mana, but would corrode bones and marrow. Long-term use could easily cause anemia, fever, and even leukemia. There was also the tendon erosion liver meridian powder, which tore and reshaped the meridians and increased the flow rate of mana, but it would cause liver pressure and cause bacterial and viral infections in the body. Zhang Yu also found that as he selected each drug, the numbers on the human body next to it would change. Sudden death probability 0.06%. Leukemia probability 0.01%. Sepsis 0.034%. Zhang Yu understood that this was calculating the risk of taking the medicine based on the drugs he ordered. In the following days, as he took more and more drugs, the probability of various diseases and death would continue to increase. Fuji also saw the drug selection interface through Zhang Yu's Dharma skeleton, and said with emotion, "It's quite considerate. It tells you not to harm one part of your body, but to squeeze it as evenly as possible so that you can live longer." The civil engineering department is still relatively humane. This one service greatly increases the lifespan of students. Zhang Yu selected a 5-course drug set meal and waited for a while before the drug meal was delivered. Che Yurfei, who was next to him, couldn't help but say when he saw Zhang Yu eating so much at once, "Freshman, take it easy." Zhang Yu smiled slightly and said, "It's okay, I have a strong ability to withstand drugs." Che Yurfei shook his head disapprovingly. Which student who could get into Dharma University had a poor drug tolerance? He thought that once Zhang Yu went to the infirmary, he would remember the lesson. Zhang Yu first switched the chain Dharma diagram set to the university holy body, and then swallowed the medicine. He felt a burst of scalding medicinal power spreading from his lower abdomen and surging towards his limbs and bones, impacting his internal organs, muscles, and bones like a raging wave and a flood. Feeling the scalding state of his whole body, Zhang Yu only felt like a ball of fire was about to spew out of his chest. He thought to himself, what a fierce medicinal power. So Zhang Yu immediately went outside the room and began to practice the spring and autumn endless Zen to digest the medicinal power. At the same time, he also found that many students in the poor class began to practice after taking the medicine. Accompanying the endless meditation of spring and autumn, Zhang Yu felt the medicinal power surging back and forth within his body. His muscles and bones showed signs of growth and development under the catalysis of this medicinal power. At the same time, Zhang Yu could also feel his heart beating violently, and subtle damages appeared in different positions of his internal organs. He immediately exerted all his strength to circulate the remnant ox body and mind incantation in his mind, constantly using the activation of his body to self-heal and resist the side effects of the medicinal power. Just as Zhang Yu and Che Yurfei were working hard to digest their dinner, Gong Shujin on the other side was also having his first dinner at the construction site. However, unlike the drugs taken by Zhang Yu and the others, which forced potential and had huge side effects, the drugs taken by Gong Shujin and his seniors at this moment had not only been filtered through layers of people, resulting in extremely low side effects, but each one was also tailored to their physical condition and cultivation methods, protecting their bodies like precious treasures, accumulating their potential, all for the sake of a great burst of power. Of course, this kind of one-on-one drug service was also very expensive. Gong Shujin looked at Zhang Yu and the others training their bodies outside the window, as if seeing a bottle that clearly had no water, but was being squeezed by people non-stop, trying to squeeze out a little water. Insufficient potential requires such stimulation, painstakingly squeezing out a little bit, he thought. Feeling his body being strengthened naturally, under the effect of the drug, Gong Shujin thought to himself, with enough potential, even if you do nothing, potential will slowly overflow. After finishing dinner and digesting, a wave of divine power mixed with spiritual energy swept across the entire construction site. Fuji's heart stirred, and she said, "The spirit realm network has been set up." Zhang Yu's eye socket flashed, and he received a notification from Talishan that the network was connected. Then, everyone began their online class time according to the construction site's schedule. With the connection of the spirit realm network, Zhang Yu was overjoyed, thinking that the construction site could indeed connect to the internet. However, the next moment, seeing the tenfold network fee, he cursed in his heart, "This is too expensive, isn't it?" Zhang Yu seized the time to first send a message to Bai Zhenjin and Zhang Pianpian to let them know he was safe, then asked Yu Xing'an for the class notes and online class materials, and finally directly closed the Spirit Realm network. The so-called online class materials were actually the course videos from the daytime. Zhang Yu and the others were required to watch the entire day's course at 10x speed, so that they could seize the time to continue their cultivation and work at the construction site. Watching the teacher's rapid speech speed and the constantly flashing figures in the video, Zhang Yu thought to himself while learning and absorbing the knowledge, "This seems pretty good too, it can save me a lot of class time. But did this kid Yu Xing'an send me the wrong thing? This is his own recorded class video, right?" Looking at the class video recorded by Yu Xing'an with his Dharma eye, Zhang Yu couldn't help but curse this guy. Why does he always record Lingzin? I want to see the teacher. Yu Xing'an was watching the change in the number of views of his short video, thinking to himself, every time I film Yingzin, the number of views is the highest. He analyzed, should I film a massage shop review next time? Just as Zhang Yu and Che Yurfei quickly finished their online classes and were preparing to start working, Gong Shujin's course had just begun. Because the amount of work every day was not as much as Zhang Yu and the others, Gong Shujin and the others had more time to take classes. At this moment, Gong Shujin's consciousness had already arrived deep in the spirit realm, receiving guidance from the teachers. And after adding money, he could not only receive one-on-one guidance from the teachers, but the spirit realm classroom in front of him had reached a 99% simulation, allowing Gong Shujin to receive guidance from the teachers face-to-face as if he were in reality. And as Gong Shujin continued to add money, the operation of the entire teaching space also began to accelerate continuously, first to times, then for times, and finally, after Gong Shujin's consciousness gradually adapted to the operation, it increased all the way to 10 times. This meant that in this conscious space of the spirit realm, he could have 10 times more time than the material world to learn. Gong Shujin was used to this. As long as he had money, time could also be accelerated, and time could also be bought. On the ruins, the students of the poor class had already begun their first night's work, continuing to clear the ruins. According to the plan, they had to clear the entire factory area ruins within half a month, to prepare for the subsequent construction of the new factory. Li-shan's reminder appeared in Zhang Yu's eye socket. This used to be the puppet factory established by Shanghai University. After being attacked by several Golden Core realm criminals, all production lines were destroyed. To Li-shan, although some time has passed, there may still be remnants of Golden Core realm mana in the field. To Li-shan, in addition, the factory's own protective formation and feng shui formation may still be partially in effect. To Li-shan also, some heavily polluting materials will be used in the process of manufacturing puppets, and it is necessary to be very careful when handling them. Zhang Yu took a deep breath, circulated the Dharma power in his body for a week, and had already used the Mountain True Form chapter, making his body faintly swell in a circle. He carefully walked in the ruins, agitated his astral key, shattered pieces of broken walls, and then cleaned them up. Just then, a rumble suddenly came from not far away. Zhang Yu turned his head, and saw a burst of cold air rising into the sky, freezing half the body of a senior student. However, the next moment, the senior student roared, his body flashing with fire, suppressing the cold air. He gasped and said, "Fortunately, a considerable amount of time has passed, and the remaining mana of the Golden Core has greatly diminished in power. Otherwise, just now." Seeing this scene, everyone became more cautious. Zhang Yu also used his 3-eye divine power, maintaining a 360-degree view at all times, vigilant for any disturbance. Just as Zhang Yu stirred up his astral energy and carried away a piece of broken wall, he suddenly felt a burst of icy aura rushing towards him. He saw a section of steel wrapped in layers of flesh pulsing under the broken wall, as if breathing. At the same time, even with his naked eye, Zhang Yu could see intense resentment constantly pouring out of the steel, rushing in all directions. Zhang Yu resentment. Fuji commented, "Be careful. With such heavy resentment, if it enters your body, you'll be sick for at least a few days. In severe cases, you might suffer a mental shock, causing your Dao heart to regress." Just then, several senior students nearby also rushed over. Che Yurfei said, "It's the resentment our used to make puppets." Jiang Yu asked, "Should we ask teacher to how to handle it?" Che Yurfei patted Zhang Yu's shoulder and said excitedly, "Why ask the teacher? I'll ask a scrap collector tonight what the current price is. As for the rest, same old rules. We'll give the teacher 50% and we'll split the remaining 50%. Looking at the senior's accustomed appearance, Zhang Yu suddenly had a deeper understanding of the Department of Civil Engineering. Soon after, another loud noise came. A giant metal palm soared into the sky, slamming a foundation establishment student away, causing him to bleed from all 7 orifices and suffer multiple fractures. Zhang Yu later learned that the person had dug up a half-finished puppet arm, and as a result, the arm suddenly activated, blasting him away. And when Zhang Yu grabbed a beam, his 3-eye divine power sensed the abnormal surge of spiritual energy around him. He instantly activated the time remnant demonic eye, feeling as if the whole world had slowed down in his eyes. Then he saw the ground beneath his feet slowly rising, as if the soil had turned into a large mouth, swallowing him in one bite. The Battle Demon Longevity Deprivation Art was activated with a bang, and a full 1.0 level of physical enhancement erupted, coupled with Zhang Yu's own strength, allowing him to dart away with a whoosh. The spot where he had been standing was already swallowed by a small mound. Zhang Yu secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Is it the factory protection formation? Then he looked at the half of the beam in his hand, and was overjoyed. This material was extraordinary at first glance. However, after thinking about it, Zhang Yu looked up at the huge factory ruins in front of him, and ultimately decided not to deal with it himself. Instead, he went to find Che Yurfei. Che Yurfei's mouth slightly curved up when he saw the beam that Zhang Yu had voluntarily handed over. He patted Zhang Yu's shoulder and said, "You really know the rules. I'll transfer the money to you as soon as the recycling fee arrives." Zhang Yu asked smoothly, "What material is this beam made of?" Che Yurfei familiarly introduced, "Oh, this. It's a third-grade special alloy steel that can withstand relatively high load requirements and is often used as a beam. In this dangerous ruin filled with remnants of golden core realm mana, high-risk materials for making puppets, and remnants of the factory protection array." While cultivating his techniques, Zhang Yu cleaned up the ruins, collected various materials, and constantly identified and learned the characteristics of various materials through Che Yurfei. Although the dangers were numerous, thanks to the sensing ability of the three-eyed divine power, the time-slowing ability of the time remnant demonic eye, and the powerful resistance brought by the earthwood holy body, Zhang Yu was still able to complete various tasks relatively safely. Just as Zhang Yu and the others were busy, all night, and began to take their third dose of medicine, Gong Shujin and the others finally finished their online classes and began their work and cultivation. "Everyone, I'll start first." Mo Shangjin waved to the crowd, then nodded to Gong Shujin Jr. "Gongshu, you too, work hard." Mo Shangjin knew that Gong Shujin was a student whom Director Gao intended to focus on cultivating, practicing the heavenly Kunlun mountain moving divine power. Since meeting him, he had repeatedly shown goodwill to this junior whose name had a character identical to his own. In Gong Shujin's longing gaze, Mo Shangjin floated in the air. Then, accompanied by his hands forming seals, the heavenly Kunlun mountain moving divine power erupted, uprooting the surrounding trees and shifting layers of rocks. Gong Shujin understood that Mo Shangjin was using the heavenly Kunlun mountain moving divine power to adjust the mountain's terrain, bit by bit, in order to achieve the purpose of guiding the spiritual veins. If spiritual veins are like long rivers, then adjusting the mountain's terrain is like changing the river's course, which can sort out the spiritual veins and lay the foundation for arranging formations. Then Gong Shujin looked at the other senior brothers. Some were like transforming into giant dragons, opening passages in the ground, digging tunnels, and opening a road to an underground transportation channel. Others clasped their palms together, and a high-temperature force field suddenly covered the space within 100 meters, refining large amounts of metal materials that had been recycled and concentrated, and converting them into brand-new building materials one by one. Gong Shujin thought to himself, the heavenly Kunlun mountain moving divine power goes without saying. It's the military-grade martial art that the Department of Civil Engineering of Allah's University is famous for. There's also the Starry Sky Meridian impacting great art, the Scarlet Fire mysterious flame divine art, all of which are expensive, require the cooperation of expensive pills and dharma bones to cultivate, consume a lot of resources, and emphasize the foundation of immortal cultivation, requiring a accumulation of power. Of course, once you master it, you can earn spirit coins quickly, and the risks of the job, and the wear and tear on your body, are not great. Gong Shujin understood that it wasn't that the teachers in the civil engineering department were unwilling to train those poor people to learn these skills, but that even if the poor people wanted to learn, they couldn't afford to, and couldn't practice them. They could only learn those techniques that crippled their bodies and forced out their potential. At first, those poor people's techniques could barely keep up with them, but they would soon be left far behind due to insufficient limits. By then, their daily income on the construction site would be 10, or even 100 times less. Watching his senior brothers display their abilities, Gong Shujin's heart was also filled with excitement. With full fighting spirit, he turned and walked towards his workstation. He spread his hands, and two fierce cyclones had already formed on the newly implanted hand dharma bones, beginning to cooperate and activating his newly cultivated technique, the 9 Nether Earth Force. In an instant, the prepared cement, sand, gravel, mineral powder, spirit stones, and other materials were drawn into it, turning into a great tornado that soared into the sky. Director Gao walked to his side, watching this scene and nodding slightly. Remember, the mixing of concrete must be adjusted according to the on-site construction environment, the needs of the formations, and the types of spirit veins. When Gong Shujin and the others started working, the huge commotion also attracted Zhang Yu's attention. Looking at the tornado rising into the sky, the countless mud, sand, and rocks flying into the air, and the violent tremors coming from the earth, Zhang Yu felt a little emotional compared to these guys. We are simply like the most ordinary construction workers. No, it should be said that these guys are like giant construction equipment, right? Shaking his head, Xiong Yu still focused his attention on his own work. Another day passed, and the students welcomed an hour of rest time. Xiong Yu first switched the chain Dharma suit to the university saint body, and took medicine, then returned to his room, and switched to the martial Dao saint embryo to accelerate self-healing. He thought to himself, as my cultivation level gradually improves, the blessing effect of the martial Dao saint embryo is also getting weaker and weaker. As expected, a key refining stage suit can't be used forever. Opening the Spirit World Network, Xiong Yu looked at the received messages and replied to them one by one. Just then, Che Yurfei and the others walked in. Che Yurfei looked at Xiong Yu and said, "What are you doing here? People can't just work overtime and cultivate all day. They also need to relax a little. The on-site masseuses have already set up the massage room. There are discounts for activities today. Let's go." Faced with Che Yurfei's invitation, Xiong Yu, who was constantly recovering his body's wear and tear under the dual effects of the martial Dao saint embryo and body activation, naturally shook his head and refused. He didn't want to waste money. Che Yurfei said, "If you don't get a massage on the construction site, how will you live long? How will you earn more money? Hurry up, everyone." Shi and Xiong had already walked out. "I'll go choose first." Seeing Xiong Yu repeatedly refusing, Che Yurfei also shook his head, too lazy to persuade him further, and left first. Just then, Bai Zhenjin's message popped up in Xiong Yu's socket. "Yuzi, finished work." Xiong Yu, "Yeah, I'll breathe for a while, and then I'm going to work overtime directly. The internet fee is relatively expensive, so I'll turn it off later." By Zhenjin, "I heard that after you civil engineering students get off work, you all need massages to eliminate body wear and tear. Aren't you going?" Xiong Yu, "My colleagues did go, but I didn't. There's no need for it." By Zhenjin, "Are you sure? You should still go if you need to. Don't wear your body out." Xiong Yu, "Forget it, I won't waste the money." By Zhenjin, "Alas, mom is really useless. I can't even afford to send my son money for a massage." Xiong Yu, "Cultivate well. If you want to be filial, you can be when you see dad next time." After chatting with Bai Zhenjin for a few words, Xiong Yu also ended his active breathing. Feeling that his body had recovered almost enough, he once again went to the ruins alone. In the following days, Xiong Yu kept taking medicine, kept cultivating, and kept working overtime. In the dangerous environment, he ravaged himself while repairing himself. At the same time, he also gained a deeper understanding of the various materials in this ruin. Every day, while his classmates went for massages, he began to look for opportunities to collect materials and complete his devouring. The first material he chose to digest was the number 20 Spirit Dharma secret steel, which was originally used by the puppet factory to manufacture the protective armor for the core parts of the puppets. This secret steel can prevent explosions and impacts, and can also evenly absorb martial Dao energy. It has the strength comparable to a body tempering expert at the peak of the foundation establishment stage. Once he can rely on the foundation establishment peak digestion power brought by the university saint body, coupled with the level 20 earth devouring divine art, to refine this number 20 spirit dharma secret steel into his bones and further strengthen his bones, he will truly have an indestructible skeleton that is enough to rampage in the foundation establishment stage. But after Xiong Yu managed to pick up a little, he found that it was difficult for him to digest this thing. It might take 10 days, or half a month, to strengthen a few finger bones. Xiong Yu thought to himself, "What should I do? Should I try practicing another technique? Try some medicine to enhance digestion?" Xiong Yu thought for a while and rejected various options, one by one. He finally thought, "Although the university saint body has given me powerful digestion ability, my gastrointestinal tract is still affected by the strength of my own body. If I want to speed up the digestion of number 20 Spirit Dharma secret steel, I need to make my stomach and intestines more resilient and stronger. It's like putting a layer of armor on my stomach and intestines." Thinking of this, a flash of light appeared in Xiong Yu's eyes, and the information of various materials on the scene appeared in his mind.